Buddy.
Greetings and salutations, folks. How we all doing?
I am doing well.
Excellent.
How are you?
Well, I'm hanging in there. It is, as always, a pleasure to see all of the players of Chronicles. So, yeah. Today is the season finale. Today is the culmination of the season moving towards this point in history for the coterie. And that, as always, has its own sort of expectations. And as per usual, I'd like to ask if anyone has any questions. But before opening the floor to everyone, I'm sure you've all had the opportunity to notice the small blurb that I placed earlier in the week, Wednesday to be exact. It was due to the culmination of several months of less than positive environment and when it came to play. As per my character flaw, I always hoped for the best, even as that was not in fact the case in terms of interrelating with the other members of that particular portion of play. And as such, it got to the point where the only viable option was for me to remove everything that I had created from their ability to use. In the doing, it, of course, as per usual, there were a lot of detractors, both sides of that decision, and people were hurt by that explosion, by that imploding. And so that's the reason why I placed that blurb out there, so that there was I didn't ask for it to explain myself or to have anyone explain how they felt or any of that. It was literally a thumbs up or no, and we would move forward, whoever was here, including myself, and whoever was not. After agreeing to do so and making themselves very well known and directly known in a direct message, we will no longer have the presence of FitzhughKSCS presently. So, just want to put that out there and maintain as much transparency as possible. And yeah, that's the state of affairs.
I will assume that it is best not to pry any further.
No, I believe in transparency. If you have any questions, feel free to fire off.
I mean, storyteller has their side of it. But again, I am going to behave myself because I have my own feelings about that particular person and the behavior that they displayed. So, yeah.
All right. Well, any questions, suggestions, hypotheses, or corners we need to round out, or in relations to where the coterie actually is at this moment?
Well, just something to give you a heads up. I'm going on another Kentucky trip this year, so I will likely be absent for the next session.
July 8th?
Yeah.
All right, so not a problem. We will make sure that there is all due updates, and much like last season, I will in fact toss up another Google document for us to answer any questions and try to encapsulate more of requested themes, story arcs, and the like over the course of the next season.
I'm not fighting. I'm joking. It's a joke. Sorry. I'm being
I
dumb.
mean, if
Are we
you
all bonded?
What was that? You broke up.
Are we all blood bonded to each other?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Which leaves several of the potential scenes mapped out for today's episode to be a little more painful than expected. Potentially.
Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good.
Execute.
No.
Oh.
Mhm.
I feel like this question probably is going to end up being answered anyway, but, regarding the mayhem, shall we say, that is occurring in a certain other city not too far away,
Yeah.
I know that the timeline is matching up quite nicely.
Mhm.
I just want to know, how bad is the fallout going to be for us?
There will be no fallout. I don't know what you're talking about.
Absolutely horrendous if you are aware as to what is taking place elsewhere.
I do not know. Cause I don't know. I should listen to the Chicago's.
Or maybe not. Depends on your
Maybe not.
level of spoiler.
Want to maintain your sanity? Because if you do,
Possibly?
I recommend you don't. Because the implications of what's
Wait.
happened-
That's implying I have insanity to begin with.
Oh, well then I guess you're fine. Go ahead. Browse to your heart's content.
Oh, okay. Because it took me a second to like, which thing are we talking about? And then I really thought about it. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's the problem.
Am I allowed to reveal the answer to like the question I posed to you like a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Storyteller?
Yes.
Okay. So, remember the 4-hour time thing that Callabularshi said?
Crap.
That's
Yeah. Apparently that may or may not have had nothing to do with us. And at exactly the end of that 4-hour period is precisely the moment that a certain Don FitzhughKSCS was no longer of this world.
I feel like
No
I
way.
should know that
Yep.
name.
Isn't that the guy that we're like watching his children?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh dear.
Let's kill
Are
the
they gonna?
children. I mean, sorry.
Are they gonna end up staying with us?
Well, that entirely comes down to you all. You have left the premises basically, and you are just across the border there, technically just outside of Dalton. Remember where the original Rosie was located. It's still in the area, still in the region, and still in the Chronicle, but it is officially just outside of Dalton itself. However, it is still in Thornton Township, which means that it is still within the growing domain of the undisputed Voivod of the South, Dutzbal Albu.
The
Reason I
undisputed
ask-
Voivod matched the undisputed Baron.
The reason why I ask is because if the two of them do end up staying, I have a few ideas.
You want to childer?
Oh, maybe
Frost
just
did end
one.
her. Well, Frost did end her first Zach's first childer. So technically, he should probably make it easy on them and do that.
Maybe just one of them.
Wait, I'm still concerned about the fucking scarabs in me.
Oh, don't worry. They will eventually find their way out.
Because
Okay.
Faye really has a difficult time keeping her mouth shut.
What's wrong with Faye?
She's become a
She's
liar.
lovely. She's a
Yes, I
lovely,
know,
shiny
but-
person.
I know, it's just that could become a liability. Then again, Zach's not exactly the most rational of people.
Frost is.
Yes.
Zach is basically the coterie's heart. A
Mhm.
moral compass, if you will.
And I'm the sword.
And
I
that's
guess.
the
I don't
funny
know.
part. How everyone falls into the niche of what they believe is ethically and morally most appropriate. And
So
with
Zach
that
doesn't
small
always
No,
with
go
his head.
head, heart, emotions, they're all the same at the end of the day. As we change over time, we become more of what we are. The distilled catalyzation of all of our impulses, all of the experiences boiled down into the soup of what we are, the dehydrated versions of ourselves over time. But with that thought in mind, becoming more of what we are, and my thanks wholeheartedly extended, I'd like to say that this is officially In the Shadow of the White City, Season 6, Season Finale, Cloth Spun Rocks. In the great grand scheme of quantum theory, several ideas of magic, principles, and theorems. Like attracts like, everything is everywhere where it will be or could be, even as it exists right before us. Several things have happened throughout the region, throughout the realm, from the halls of power at the center of the gleaming city of the Camarilla, its national capital, Chicago, to the far-flung reaches of one-horse towns in the middle of nowhere. And in between those vast, very different points along this line, this endless line of the evils wrought, the good created by horrendous actions, and horrendous actions that lead to even more horrible outcomes. There's been a plot at the center of everything that deals very much with the connection of things, with the dragon roads, the ley lines, the dragon nests, and ley line nexus points. All of those things have been simmering in the background, at play through various hands for centuries, decades, far longer than they should have been. Because the old saying that a little knowledge is a dangerous thing is only multiplied when you have vast quantities of potential knowledge there for the taking. And you don't have the normal moral, ethical compunctions to not take. So as you all settle into the Rosie 2, the original Rosie, Callabularshi having made what plans he could based on the varied myriad possibilities and potentials that exist, in a constant state of flux, pushed and pulled by your actions. The night ends. Everyone settles in. And the truth of all of those strings comes due. Because the Tremere, like many of the other power brokers in the area, have never not been up to something. A myriad of somethings. And the closer one was to the center of power, that is the Tremere, the closer and more enmeshed one were in those webs of control, in those webs of protecting the good from itself. And Callabularshi, even with his rogue status, even with the attempts on his life, even with all of the many cults he had been involved with, was very close to the center of that power. And he saw and sees far too much. So would everybody be so kind as to go ahead and roll your rouse rolls for the evening, as you all decide what plans, what plots, what steps you all will take to either clear your name or burn the city down around you. So we will start in.
I would like to risk healing aggravated damage because I still have 2 aggravated wounds from last season.
Things have
And
been hectic.
my hunger didn't rise for the evening, so I gotta rise it somehow.
Yes.
Oh shit.
1, 2. Oh, that one didn't. 3. Okay, 2 hunger increased.
Which
That
brings
brings me
you
up to
to
4.
4. And speaking of 4, Frost, where are you, good sir?
I'm at 4 hungies because I just love getting to 4 hungies.
Don't ever call it 4 hungies again.
So
I don't.
we will start in anti-alphabetical order. It is, even with the fresh paint, even with the cell-like rooms, which redecorate the apartment so that each of the kindred have safe places to alight, free of any potentialities of errant sunlight touching them. There are still memories. There are still moments that sit there on the cusp of your wakened mind about being home again, Zach. Because at the end of the day, that's what the Rosie was. And even though it is, it's been renamed the Rosie too, and even with Drew no longer in existence and Sasha no longer mattering in any definition of the word, there are still memories that abound. This was home. This was where you were initially safe from all of the predations, predilections, and play that is the kindred community. It was where you put down your stance against all of those who had stood in your way, where they no longer mattered, and where their considerations and concerns had no sway over you. You were king of a happy kingdom. You were master of the house. And now, when the chips are down, when Rome is burning, you have to decide, are you going to fiddle or are you going to put out the fire?
Let me take a moment to examine the metaphor before me. I take it the fire refers to the memories that are surfacing?
The memories of the distant near past and the memories of the previous night's activities. You have a force, a personality that can be likened to a force of nature, a elemental thing on your heels. You have the moral authorities, the mortal authorities, the police, then the fire inspectors seeking after you. You have what looks and appears to be kindred hunters, witch hunters on your trail. And the sinking feeling that despite every reasonable expectation, you are falling both in love with Callabularshi and your coterie mates. There is a closeness there that, while not wholly uncomfortable, is surprising, considering the last person, the last kindred you were honestly, earnestly close to. Those you invited into your trust, into your home, into your business. And those feelings are still there.
Oh, while Zach is still there, you may as well do a little introspection and examine these feelings and what they may mean for him and for the others.
So going down the list and realizing how close they all are to you emotionally, who do you start with? Which relationship, which of the connections of your coterie strikes your mind first?
Basically going in order from oldest to newest.
Okay. Who does he consider the oldest of you?
No, as in the oldest connection to the newest one. As in the person he met first to the person he met last.
Okay. Call them out. Then fire away.
First of all, yeah. It had a bit of a rocky beginning, but now Zach entrusts Dia with things he doesn't even really entrust himself with. This is due to the number of times he has placed his life in her hands and remains still standing by the end of the night. And he's not quite sure what particular type of love he feels for her. There's definitely some sort of attraction there. Next is Frost. Zach feels that this may be more of a brotherly type of love, or the kind of love one feels for friends. But again, Zach has placed his life in Frost's hands and is still standing. He has shared things with Frost that he wouldn't share with just anyone. So there's that going in his head. Third is Callabularshi, is the little therapy session the two of them had back in the Pisketeers Lounge, and the positive effects that it had on Zach. And Zach's confusion as to just why Callabularshi is helping him. What Callabularshi has to gain from helping him. And there's that confusion there. And then the fourth is Muzan. Again, it's more the type of platonic love one feels for friends. And that one is the one that Zach is least certain of.
You wound me.
Not yet, but soon. And glossing over Seth comes with a surprising contrast. Because of everyone, up until recently, Seth has put forth the idea of being the most humanistic. Up until recently, Seth has put forth the idea of being the most humane. He doesn't enjoy the idea of feeding on anything living. He doesn't enjoy the idea of touch or comfort that is even remarkably similar to affection. There's a coolness there beneath all of the cries for humanity. And as Zach glosses over that connection, Zach realizes that through it all, Seth has been there. Except for when they disappeared. Not once, but twice. For hours on end. And of everyone, Seth has been the most definitively anti-Callabularshi. And of everyone, each member of the coterie and their recent connections, he is by far the most removed. Which is an odd thing, considering that since the incidents which led to the connection, he has looked waner, he has looked more monstrous, he has seemed to have received the biggest boost in power and presence and being as dead as possible. In fact, as you think on the many incidents of that night that caused you all to fly and flee here, it was his monstrousness, that acted as catalyst, stirring the crowd, whipping them into a frenzy, divesting them of their potentialities of forever. And as you reach towards that connection, you try to examine it, you realize that there is nothing there. And speaking of nothing there, moves on. Resurrecting for the evening is never something that comes lightly. It's literally 1 second you are ambulatory. The night is your oyster. You could do anything. You are powerful, you are strong, and in recent days, far more alive or far more humanely living as you have ever been. If you really concentrate on it and really think on it, even during your living days, there's not really much humanity there. There was not much in the way of connections to the world around you. There was no reason to. Might makes right, the strong survive, and the weak, well, they're grist for the mill. But recently, there have been moments. There have been a growing of things. So as you resurrect for the evening, with those feelings percolating, what's on your agenda? What are you contemplating? What are you attempting to do with your newfound night of being ambulatory?
In order. 1, he's gonna check on the others, make sure they're all safe, whole, and well. 2, he's gonna find some way to deal with this hunger. And then 3, he's gonna find Dancer, and they're gonna begin planning to go to Homewood to find the rest of the sewer rats. As he had discussed with the other coterie members, at this moment it seems like they need allies, and 20 to 30 some odd sewer rats who can serve as spies and such would be a great boost to their forces.
Alright, so who do you start with? Which of your extended incidental and accidental family do you start with? Who do you check on first?
He checks on Dia first.
So, having made yourselves at home at the Rosie 2, and rising for the evening, not in your familiar surroundings, not having the opportunity of your essential oils and all of those sorts of accoutrements, where does that leave Dia?
And not the best in moods, but she's trying to do the best she can. There's a bit of a... She's already showered, even though she doesn't like the smell of most of the soaps. She found one that was passable. And by the time Luzon finds her, she is sitting on the stool of I guess like a vanity type chair or whatever, in front of a mirror, was one of those jade roller things, and even though, again, it's absolutely ridiculous, she doesn't age, and her skin's not gonna change. It's a habit. And she's like rollering her underneath her chin and looking in the mirror and giving herself affirmations.
So walking in on this scene.
So this is how you start every evening.
And she about jumps out of your skin. Oh god, you're so fucking quiet. I forgot how quiet you possibly are. Yes. I talk myself up in the evening and remind myself who I am. Sometimes it doesn't fucking work, but I really needed it this evening, so I am doing my absolute best to take it until I make it, as it were. What's going on?
I just wanted to make sure everyone's settled in safe. And it seems like that would be a yes for you.
I mean, it'll do for now, but I miss the Pescateurs. I don't want to be here any longer than I have to. I love Zach dearly, I really do, but this place, and she just like motions around.
What's wrong with that?
You can tell they weren't roses very long, or that they were kept away from high class roses. I mean, seriously, paisleys in that shade? Who does that?
Looks fine to me.
No, darling. You're very much muscles, not aesthetics.
Look, to me, anything that can serve as shelter or a cover for under fire will be excellent. So anything more than that is just a luxury.
Agreed. You would be happy in a mud hut.
I
But I am a
would.
tornado. Do those things. Anyway, I'm sure that is not why you have come to figure things out this evening. Are you a chance getting ready to leave with Dancer to do what I asked?
Yes. Pretty soon, I'm thinking we'll both head down there, scout out the place, figure out what exactly we need. Not sure how much you three ought to get in, or you four ought to get involved, but considering...
You think it's a good idea to leave them here by themselves? I mean, you know, Fairy King over there is great and powerful and all of that, but when you really consider it, I don't know, I just got this feeling. Oh, sorry. Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How you doing, Dancer?
Not that great. I'm surprised that there was a space left for me. Most people don't consider me until it's already gone past the time of being considered.
Well, you're in good company.
That is interesting. That is very interesting. Why is this Fairy King that is the center of you guys' power base? Why is he considering each of us? I mean, he's got the power to move the world. He's got the power to kill the entire leadership.
I don't know. I thought he liked Zachar a lot.
That's not why, honestly. They sought sanctuary at the Pescateurs, knowing of the Pescateurs long before they knew of Zach, or that I had taken over the Pescateurs. Apparently, they were coming to make peace and asked for sanctuary from whoever was running the Pescateurs at the time. They thought it would probably be person before Nicole, actually, and then it turned out to be me. So that's how that happened, and they are very much about their word, to the point of the letter of can't lie, but they don't always have to tell the truth, kind of thing. You know what I mean? They're very good at splitting hairs.
That's the thing that worries me. I've been thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you stuck around the party when he took over and you know, iced everybody that mattered or didn't matter. But if you can see all these possibilities, and he's got plans based on which possibility we're gonna walk through, but he didn't know you were the owner of the Pescateurs. And he didn't know about Zach, but he knew the Dust Ball would come for his head and fail, or miss, or fail, or both. And he knew about tonight. Well, last night. Or tonight. Either way, he knows about recent events. Enough that he has space built for each of us. And yet we're still here. Well, you guys are still here. I'm here because, well, you know, it's not every day you get invited to a sleepover and actually someone means it.
What do you trying to get at?
Yes, I would like to know that as well.
Maybe all of these possibilities and potentialities aren't really set in stone. And if he knows all of this, why can't he prevent the ones that he doesn't want? What is his connection? What is his end goal? We got a year and a day and we're barely into it, and everything's already, for you guys, already, you know, pretty fucked.
Well, the one evening I did spend any amount of time talking with him, it seems that nothing, like you said, is set in stone. But there are multitude and multiplicity of possible outcomes, and based on one decision or not, i.e., somebody could part their hair slightly differently, it changes the whole entire outcome of what is going to happen. And then once you're on that path, then there are several also outcomes there, and based on whoever.
You see? So it makes your head hurt. I've been thinking about this. And there's got to be a way to stack the deck in our favor, because it's clear that he's working to stack the deck in his favor for whatever that end goal is. So a way to kind of get a little bit of that magic working in your favor, our favor, so that we don't have to do this again. I mean, my haven's safe. I'm good. Dust Ball don't even care about me for the most part. So I'm nobody. I'm not a threat. You guys, you're threats. And it's clear that he considers you a threat or an enemy.
Well, if you want to use Callabularshi's power, then why don't you just ask him? He seems like a nice enough fellow, right?
Now, I'll do a lot of things. But ask for a favor from a guy that could, you know, walk through fire, get his head chopped off, doesn't seem like really the smartest of things.
Why not? Seems like the absolute smartest thing to do.
You know, that was a mistake loading that fucking coin flip. Anyway.
Too late now. You're stuck with me.
Now, speaking of stuck with you, speaking of being stuck in a moment, Frost, there's been a huge amount of change in the last year for you. There's been a huge amount of change in the last few months for you. Starting with you dying. You literally died. You were left to your own devices in the hands of kindred, and you died. You've nearly come to a permanent death no less than 3 times since your death. And in that time, in those tribulations and those trials, you've come closer and closer to permanently never opening your eyes again. Each and every instance, things get worse. From the stake to the chest, to the tree limb through the chest, through several other instances of your death being a very real statistical probability. And in that time, you've managed to kill. You've managed to maim. You've managed to desecrate nearly every law that you've spent the bulk of your life protecting. You were a man hunter, not a man killer. And now you are all of those things that you stood against. To resurrecting for the evening with those thoughts weighing on your mind, what is the outcome of your remorse roll?
That is humanity plus...
1/3 humanity plus unspent willpower, yes.
Yeah. I have this up already. 1/3 humanity, that would be 1, right? Spend willpower, which is that. Sorry. Six. Do I add hunger to this die roll?
I'm sorry, add what?
What? Add hunger.
No.
Oh.
2 successes.
There is a cost to everything. And the cost of hanging on to that brief, flickering sliver of your humanity is the fact that you feel like absolute god-awful crap of the world. You are the all-singing, all-dancing turmoil that sits at the heart of every moral and ethical conundrum. You, in this moment, as your eyes open and your soul reanimates what little bit of left of your life exists currently, you are beset by a malaise that you have not felt ever until now. The weight of all the death that you have caused sits there in perfect harmony with your rising beast, that dark thing literally kicking you in the teeth to get you to go and feed, to satiate yourself. Yes, you feel like shit, but that will change if you have but the briefest flickering taste of fatigue. If you take life into yourself, you will stop feeling as if you've been run over.
So objective, get a drink. And yeah. And mourn, I guess.
Mm-hmm. You think of Zach's Childer, an innocent, brought into this world, used by others, and sent from this world not once but twice by you. And Seth.
I feel like he punched the wall, like, with a lot of strength. All of it. Angry. outburst in his room.
So summoning your inner Chad, you make sure that the wall is redecorated with your fist prints in several places. It's the funny thing about being dead. While it hurts like the dickens, it is no pain that sticks with you. It's a fleeting thing. It's a minor nothing. It's a hiccup. And it's over and done with. The pain that you actually are feeling is sitting there in your chest, is crawling around your mind, and it will not give you surcease. It will not give you peace. It will not allow you a moment of introspective contemplation without kicking you in the teeth with steel-toed boots. You need to feed. You also need to find a way to escape this pain. So in the course of you searching for sustenance, in the course of you searching for some way to escape this inner pain, who do you speak to first? Your good friend Seth? Your good friend Muzan? Dia? Zach? Callabularshi?
Well, the person he's grown closest to, I would say, is Dia. Since she's taken him under his wing. And whatnot.
So you head looking for Dia. Excellent. So you leave your room, which is now considerably more shambly than it should be, and you pass by Seth's room. The scent of incense moldering, the dry scent of a tomb, mixing and mingling with all of that myrrh and frankincense.
Is he doing a spell?
Sticking your head in the door, you find him prostrate, floating above the floor. There's been carved beneath him with the dagger that's still in his hand, folded against his chest, a sigil into the floor. At various compass points are incense and candles burning, while he hovers and floats there, clearly dead to the world.
Okay, but that's fucking weird. Can I try and move in and take him, push him down?
Yes, but you still gonna go ahead, roll your strength plus brawl.
Strength plus brawl. I actually have that in my dice pool now.
Strength? Nah. You don't have to.
This is weird, playing a character that actually can fight. Okay. Well, I mean, this dice pool is still little.
You move into the space, and his eyes snap open, his fangs bare, and he lashes out with the blade that's in his hand. In doing so, blade skims across your skin. You don't even feel it. It happens so quick. It's not until your dead flesh splits open in the vitae that you so lovingly hold inviolate against all things begins to well up, and as it hits the air, mixing with the scent of incense, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your frenzy roll for me, sir? And while that's happening, yes, it's a DC 2. And while that's happening, you all, while in the middle of your conversations, in the middle of your contemplations, hear a sledgehammer slamming against the walls from down the hall. And as you all hear someone engaging in home improvement, what strikes your minds, Dia, Frost, Dia, Muzan, and Zach?
Muzan's immediate thought is, I should probably go check on it.
Are we somehow under attack?
Let me go check.
And Zach?
Zach is now snapped out of his introspection and now heading in the direction of the sound.
So all three are moving towards the sledgehammer that is trying to redecorate the building you guys are in, or either kick open the doors like a no-knock warrant.
Yeah, pretty much.
Excellent. So you all arrive to find Seth, blade in hand, fangs, beard, and looking like literally like Morbius, attempting to divest Frost of all that he might ever be. And while you feel Frost's anger building, and while you feel the concern from Frost, there is nothing there for Seth. It is as if he is empty of all animating presence, as if the connection that you all once shared no longer exists.
Ah, shit. Muzan is going to try and... You said it's Seth doing this to Frost?
Yes.
Muzan is going to tackle Seth to the ground and try and separate him from Frost.
Excellent. To be so kind as go ahead and roll your... You're just trying to pin him to the ground.
Yep.
Alright. Would you be so kind as go ahead and roll your strength plus athletics.
I would like to preface this by mentioning I am still at Hunger 4.
Oh, that's going to come into play as you leap into the room and are now in close proximity to the bleeding vitae of Frost.
Let the chaos commence.
I was almost positive I was going to get a messy critical there.
As you all watch Muzan leap into action, pinning Seth to the ground, you all watch as the blade in his hand begins to plant itself firmly into Muzan's back. What is it that you all are doing?
Could Zach possibly attempt to knock the blade out of Seth's hand? And if so, would fleetness be useful here?
Typically, no. But because it is effectively a bonus action, considering that Muzan is taking the brunt of Seth's attention from Frost, yes. While that's happening, dear, watching the scene unfold, and Frost watching this happen, and your beast there on the tip of your tongue, what is it that you want to do?
Yeah, is highly confused as to what the hell is going on, and will state as much, but then very clearly putting power into her voice, will direct that energy and power at Seth. Seth, this is your Baron speaking. What in the absolute hell are you doing? Stop! Just to see if that would work, since you've always been such a sycophant about doing what she says.
Zach, I need your roll. Why don't you go ahead and give me a dexterity and brawl roll with your bonus for celerity. And while that's happening, as Dia's voice raises through the room, Seth, snapping into himself somewhat, Baron, you're my mark.
Oh, what?
And Callabularshi whispers over your shoulder. His
Spell went awry. The blade that he intended for your blood back, he now has to speak on. He now has to tell the truth. So while he sought to eventually betray you, timetable's been moved up. While you all handle that, I'll be downstairs.
Feral
Okay.
weapon.
Change.
Okay, so for celerity, would that be 1 extra dice or 2 extra dice?
what's your celerity at?
2.
There you go. You're all set.
Oh, hey, cool.
Holy shit.
Those are all successes.
Yeah. All right. Moves on.
Yes.
While you know what a pincushion feels like, you are very thankful that Zach is suddenly there to keep you from reliving those moments of being sliced, perforated, and otherwise punctured. Because while Zach manages to knock free the blade, its glint as it goes sliding across the floor is unmistakable. It is a blade honed to near diamond sharpness, as only those items cursed with kindred vitae could ever seem.
Is it something that he'd be familiar with, considering his history?
Oh, yes.
Without a shadow of a doubt, you have seen such an implement used before, and you know that with the briefest of touch, it could split flesh as if it was paper. You know it, with the briefest of touch, it could cause a kindred to begin bleeding and never stop. You know that with but a touch in the right hands, it could bring on near final death in a kindred.
With clear anger rising in his voice, Muzan looks Seth in the eyes and says, "Who gave you that? Who put you up to this?"
It wasn't supposed to happen now, but that Callabularshi is working against us.
Answer me.
Strength plus intimidation. Frost, while you're hearing this, you're watching this, and your forearm is laid open like the most skillfully cut fillet. You can see down to the bone in your forearm. What is it that you are doing? And Dean, hearing this and watching this, what is it that you are doing? And Zach, Muzan's anger is palpable, And not because he is as scary as he is, but because you feel as if you've saved someone very important to you. And in the doing, you paid it forward somehow. You feel very much like, in this moment, you are the hero that you've always wanted to be. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your ship, and you're protecting what matters to you.
The connection that they share, they would definitely probably get from the a sense of shock and betrayal, and a little bit of disbelief, but then it turns fairly quickly into resignation as they, in their silky robe, march across the floor to where the blade landed, and not touching it directly with their hands because they don't know exactly what it would do. She lets the sleeve cover her hands and picks up the blade, turning back around, walking very carefully towards Seth.
My prince, you don't want to. You want to put that down. You want to. And look, Muzan, it's nothing personal. It's Herod. This wasn't supposed to happen. Now, Callabularshi is behind this.
May I perk up? Frost, staring at his broken arm, is angry, and he wants to turn that arm into a feral claw thingy to grip him.
Frost, you gotta understand. You know this Callabularshi is not to be trusted. This is his doing.
Can I grab him by the throat, please? Roll strength plus brawl.
Yes.
Funny.
Do I?
Zach, you gotta help me. This is Callabularshi. You know he's behind this.
Weapons to do it, or
yes.
Do I add my? So that adds 1 die, or my animalism.
It would add the 1.
Okay, that's what I thought. Sorry. You guys know. 5.
And Zach turns around to give Callabularshi a rather pointed look. He doesn't say anything, but his face basically asks for clarification.
Oh fuck. That's 2 messy criticals.
Yeah, doesn't even bother asking Callabularshi or looking in Callabularshi's direction. She speaks up, see, Seth, thing is, of what you're saying, Callabularshi has never once lied about who they are, what they are after. They have been the utmost blunt. You, on the other hand, have lied to me several times. So, that being said, I think I'm going to tend to believe what they are saying. I thought that you cared enough to see me do well, and now you wish to kill me. Whether it's too early or too late, you saw fit to put this to my flesh.
My prince, it's not the way that it looks. This is Magnus's doing. He is in league with Orin, my sire. Him and Herod have passed this responsibility to me.
Why?
I don't know. I was never going to do it. I not like this.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Storyteller, That name is, I'm pretty sure, familiar to Muzan. Is it?
Yes. 100%.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. While I'm having my mini freak out, go on, continue.
Again, apparently, the men around me see me as some sort of threat.
It's not you. It's where the Pisketeers is. Look. I was never going to actually put you to final death. Just a staking. This will make sure that you almost completely bleed out. You won't die permanently. I need to find a way because we need to take out the Volavad. We together can do it. And this is all Callabularshi doing. This is not what it looks like. I was not going to kill you. Muzan, maybe. He's an asshole. Decibel, definitely. But we can still work together here, my prince. This doesn't change anything. We've gotta move on this now before they close the door on us, before the rest of them come into Dalton.
The rest of who?
I don't know exactly. Orin is working with this Magnus, and the Venatoras or the Shelter or the Hounds from Chicago, anybody, everyone. We need to put down these threats. We need to put down Decibel. We need to take out Callabularshi so that we can get back to the Pisketeers, so you can get back to the Pisketeers. You should be the Prince of Dalton.
How do you know that name?
Orin is my sire.
No, Herod, the Venators. How do you know that name? Listen here, you little shit. Answer me now. How do you know those names?
Look, you gotta understand. This has been a long time in the making, and Callabularshi is ruining it. The reason why a timetable is being pushed up. The whole idea is Dalton's important at the gateway of things, the start and end of things. There's power there, and the Pisketeer sits on top of a lake of power. It is at the end where land and sea connect.
And they sought to use you to sway me.
To help you become something or someone of power. It was supposed to be Nicole, but things happened.
So, when I was given the crown, they sent you. Be my friend.
I am your friend, Dia. I've been there for you. I've been there for everyone.
Have you?
Like you were there when I was killed?
That wasn't my doing. I didn't kill you. I had every intentions of keeping you a ghoul so that this wouldn't happen to you. Now here's the thing that Frost just now thinks about. That it just occurs to him. While Seth has never put forth the idea that he was his property, while Seth has never put forth the idea that he was anything less than a friend, you know that in kindred society, donors
are more valuable than ghouls, because donors will help the kindred remain alive. Ghouls carry out all of those many tasks that is beneath them or helps them protect their social standing amongst mortals. And Seth kept you as a ghoul, his strong right arm.
What, so I was just your pet?
No, my pet will be better trained. No, not like that. You don't get it. You're useful. You were useful. Now you're just an animal.
At this point, can I grab him?
You already have. Your hand is around his throat. Muzan is holding him pinned to the floor. You are holding him around the throat, and Zag is looking at Callabularshi, who is slipping away, moving back downstairs out of sight, leaving you all to your moment, whatever that is. Dancer is there in the doorway watching what happened, but there's a look on his face that is hard to place, even with his misshapen face and burned visage. You've all learned to read some of the many inner workings, and right now there's a look of pity, a look of fuck. He knows what he's seeing, but he's hoping that he's not seeing it.
That here needs to be put down.
And it's here when Zack whips his head back towards Seth and asks, "Is there anything else that you've been keeping from us?" And the anger and feelings of betrayal are clear in his voice. Right now, Zack's not sure between Seth and Callabularshi who to trust, if either of them.
Look, I even went back on the deal, and I helped you put down the Baron. I even worked against my own people to protect you all. You know that I'm here for you, no matter what you think, no matter what Callabularshi is forcing me to say. While it's true, it's fact, it's not the truth. It's not how I feel. I was willing to. And he stops and tries to bite back words and tries to change what is there on the tip of his tongue.
No. You will not stop now. You will know
Don't want to.
everything.
There's nothing to know. You all were being played, but not by me. I was actually helping you all. I don't want to hurt you all, but I will.
Oh, no.
You don't get it. I am a fucking Tremere, and I have done everything I can to keep you all alive long enough to complete the plan. But if you're not gonna help me, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say I was always gonna betray all of you.
There it is.
You all are means to an end.
And now, from above his head, looking him directly in the eye, smiles out of him. This is going to hurt me much more than it will hurt you.
If you kill me, you'll never know anything else. If you kill me, the plan is gonna go off without a hitch anyway. We've already gotten you out of the Pisketeers. You...
He draws the blade across his chest, not stabbing him in, but cutting him open.
There's an aphorism that's tossed out, a turn of a phrase that everyone knows: hot knife through butter. The briefest of skimming touch of the blade, and his dead flesh opens. It's as if it is the Red Sea, and the blade itself is Moses. It splits of its own volition where the blade touches.
Oh, so there's vitae pouring out.
Yes. And you and Frost are not only close enough to touch the vitae, but to be splattered by it erupting up and out of the open.
So is that taste of Vete?
Yes.
So that's difficulty 4, right?
Yes.
1/3 humanity plus unspent willpower.
Yep.
Holy shit!
I can make you wish for that.
That's a no.
Frost, you hang on to your humanity with everything that is in you. There is some part of you that knows if you sink things, you will not stop. And you hold on to that brief, flickering glimpse of yourself with all you have. Your daughter, your family, the people that you have protected with your death and with your life. It matters more now than it ever has. All of those moments spent with eating donuts to help him enjoy his night as you've set on stakeouts, as he's helped and used you for your funding, your money, your efforts, your skill with guns, and the fact that you were able to operate during the daylight hours. All of that comes due. All of that truth. Yes, and while he has clearly been using you the entire time, because the moment you died and stopped using your funds, his office needed to be shuttered. The moment you were no longer viable for daytime operations, money became a factor, because it became a reason to end things. The moment you were no longer usable to him, things changed, and it happened quietly and subtly. It's so subtle that you didn't realize until just now. And Muzan, you realize that, Tremors don't have to worry about being bloodbond. Their blood is weak enough that it will not pass down the power it once had. It will not enslave you. So you could literally drink your fill over multiple evenings from this. And you only realize that as the taste of Seth's vitae coats your tongue, splatters up the nostrils, over the nose, and is flowing so freely and deliciously down your gullet.
I'm assuming I've already sunk my fangs into his neck.
Yes. And Zach, watching this and knowing that, yes, this is Callabularshi's doing. Callabularshi somehow found a way to make him tell the truth, to make the betrayal that was in the offing become a matter of public record.
And it is here where Zach now questions to himself Callabularshi's motive for doing so, whether this is to help them or to hurt them. He then looks in the direction Callabularshi went and starts walking there. But as to whether or not he finds Callabularshi, well, that's up to you.
Moving past Dancer, Callabularshi is very easy to find. He is settled with his bathrobe, one leg crossed over the other, and he is waiting, staring into the open seat across from him. He suddenly looks all of his well-lived human years of 29 years, 4 days, and 17 hours. He was a prodigy when he was alive. An outcast because of it. But there's a cost for doing business, and he paid that cost with his life once, and nearly paid it with his immortality to enter into the agreement that he's currently operating under. So how you doing?
It's here or Zach, who says, take it you know very well why I've come in.
I got an idea. But then again, you always do wear your emotions on your sleeves.
That I do. Then again, motions are a musician's meal ticket.
Yeah, but you're stronger than that. You can be anything you want. You have the ability to sway the public, not just with your kindred essence, but musically, skillfully.
And Seth said that you were behind all this.
And Seth says a lot of things.
Exactly. I take it there's at least partial truth, but not entirely as he says.
No, he's right. No, he's 100% right. The fucker was doing a spell. A spell that would prove to be very, very dangerous for all of us involved. And so, it was time for the charade to end. There's so many things that I can tolerate. There's so many things that I can allow, so many things that I'm willing to roll the dice on. Certain things I'm not. Do you know what happens when a Tremere or a Hamatic of any sort, I mean, whether they deal with the Hamatics of the underworld, or they deal with the Fae, or they deal with... There's a certain thing that happens when you attune to places. When you take spiritual ownership of those places. And he couldn't be allowed to take spiritual ownership of this place, or the Pisketeers, or where you guys are gonna run to, well, we're gonna run to in Milwaukee. And his spell, the one he was working on now, would have attuned him to those three places. He's already been trying to improve his personal strength so that he can capitalize on his sire's plan. So,
We were all pieces on a board is obvious. We still are pieces on a board is obvious. Question is, where exactly on the board do we lie?
well, that's up to you. And that's the only thing tonight does. It makes what happens next 100% your responsibility. Your actions to change the fate of the city around you, of the region around you, of the domain around you, of the world that we inhabit. The betrayal is now known. That put the time limit on how effective they can be, how much you change, how much you grow, how much of your own power you choose to embrace. I can only prepare you so much, I can only boast to you so much, I only do what I can so that you have the free choice of full agency. You are a definitive.
Thank you. That is all I wish to know. And with that, he turns, but does not step out just yet. Just in case Callabularshi has anything else to say.
there's a truth to how silent the dead can be, how their presence can disappear in the blink of an eye. If they're not speaking, if they're not moving, if they're not doing something to create noise, and it's easy for them to disappear, to become part of the room sounds and never be audible. That moment happens now. That disappearance while still physically there. You no longer perceive Callabularshi, completely silent, as if you had never been speaking to another entity, until his hands rest on your shoulders, until the briefest of touches passes between you. There's a weight in contact, in touch, in sharing moments. Comes with a lot of responsibilities that we typically overlook. Priests and churches use them all the time, the laying on of hands, the showing of fellowships, the sharing of a spirit, the sharing of a moment with touch. And that's it. That's all. Just touch. Absent of malice, filled with a longing that can't be fully described. In an otherwise silent, non-existent space. Just touch. And speaking of touch, fangs buried deep. There is a threat to the power that lies in that blood. There is a threat because, not for the first time, Muzan tastes others. Muzan tastes not Zach, not Dia, not Frost, not himself, not even the moment where the chalice was passed between them, but he tastes something else. He tastes a power that should not have been viable. He tastes something dark.
Is that power familiar?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
Right now, Muzan is the most visibly enraged he's ever been at the mention of someone he thought was long gone. There are questions swirling in his mind that he needs answered. And right now, thanks with Seth's blood spilling out as quickly as it is, that his blood is the only thing that will have the answers he's looking for. If Seth won't be straight with them, he'll have to find the answers on his own. And he's going to break down.
Nothing stings so much as betrayal. Nothing hurts so much as the hidden blade in the back. Nothing offends the sensibilities so much as having placed trust and faith in those who have no trust, no faith, and most importantly, no respect for you. And as a portion of the wild, rambunctious child that Dia formerly was, all the time acting as a freebooting agent provocateur of Nicole's will. All of the time spent in a wild, tumultuous relationship with Jennifer, the oldest kindred formerly existing in Dalton. All of that time spent, there was, even when you two were at emotional war with one another, there was respect. All of that time, there was never any betrayal of the love she had for you. There was never any sundering of the pact between you all. I promise to look out for you no matter what. And that pain now is undescribably unbearable, even as you watch another kindred die, even as you watch as Seth is erased before your eyes. The pain of his betrayal lasts far above that. And it's worse because it's not just your feelings. It's not just your feelings. It is Muzan's feeling of knowing that his other family, his pack, his coterie is coming for him. It is Frost's understanding that this whole entire time he was a means to an end. He was a tool, and when it was no longer useful or needed, he was just tolerated.
While I don't care, Muzan's devouring him. I doubt Frost doesn't even know that Muzan could potentially take on Cotton's personality, or whatnot. But he takes his gun that he gave to Seth as a, being like, hey, I no longer really need this anymore. And this is one of my prized possessions, and he takes it out of his pocket, if it is in his pocket.
It is. Remember, he was cleaning his guns last episode.
Last episode, yes.
Looking around, I know that he said this whole thing started, and he was on some kind of sigils or circle, and there were candles burning and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know much about blood sorcery or whatever, but she does remember the day that Callabularshi came to the Musketeers, and Seth was telling her to get rid of the salt and stuff like that. So what she does is remembers that and wants to stop whatever was attempting to do with the circle, and just kind of scratches out, breaking the circle, and kicks over one of the candles after putting it out.
And like a switch being thrown, like the main breaker for the power of a house, like the main breaker for a plant, there is a lessening of the charged environment in the room immediately and instantaneously, and the blade, which was all but vibrating in Dia's hand, goes quiet. It somehow seems not as looked after or cared for. It somehow seems less sharp, seems duller. The finish and patina even seems to be less. While beneath Muzan's fangs, the struggles against the enjoyment and pleasure of the kiss cease. And Seth manages to speak. I know you all feel wronged, but I expect you all to be bigger people than this.
If you learned nothing, Toreadors of the royalty petty. I don't do bigger people. I don't do turn the other cheek. Goodbye, Seth. She walks from the room with the blade in hand.
Can I shoot Frost in the Seth in the face with the deagle?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna just look at Dia walking away, and then angrily point at his head, and then just bang. You know, as guns do.
There's a cacophonous thunder that strikes all across Muzan's face as the moment dances there, just out of reach of drinking down the entirety of all that this being was, and then nothing. The line goes dead. The connection stops, and the last thing that Muzan is able to see via Seth's face, via Seth's memory and recollection, is a face that not even a mother could love. The face of his tormentor. The face of his general that urged him forward into battle and caused the death and exsanguination of more kindred than he has ever known personally. He sees Hannibal's face. He sees Hannibal's face inches from his own. And he realizes that he's seen through Seth's memory.
I don't think you have it in you, but if you fail...
And then nothing. The pinkish gray remnants of Seth's dead brain plastered all across Muzan's face and the wall behind him. There is nothing left above the cheekbone of Seth. And the desiccation begins. He doesn't immediately, instantaneously become dust, but there is a lessening immediately, a drying of the skin, a sallowness that takes over the complexion, the clothes suddenly seeming 2 sizes too big. You know, there's a funny thing about having an apartment over a rock club. The bass and the toe tapping and the clapping and the singing along somehow mask the cacophonous thunder of a desert eagle being fired in an enclosed space. The sound of debauched carousing hides nearly everything. The noise and tumult above. Almost everything. And there's a knock at the door.
Wait, do I answer it? I mean, I guess I would answer it. If it's... Yeah.
You go and answer the door. And there's a problem. There is a serious problem. A almost impossible problem. Because no one knows you all are actually where you are. No one knows or should know that you all have taken up residence at the Rosie 2. Yet View is there.
You?
Mm-hmm.
What about this person?
Isn't food dead though?
Yep.
Oh boy, ghost time.
So you're standing there face to face with View. Frost, while everyone else is occupied or otherwise engaged, what is it that you're doing? Considering that the Desert Eagle in your hand is still smoking and you are still covered in bits and pieces of Seth's cerebellum.
Do I remember this person? Have I ever met this person?
View? Yeah, he was the one that, well, one of the ones that used your words against you to get you to say that Dia would make a good...
Oh, commit praxis, yes.
Yes.
And he died at the that freaky magic thingy.
He's dead, yes, but not by anything freaky and magic. He actually died by the Voivod, but that's another matter entirely. He's standing there. And he mimes past you. Motions, even.
I let him through because I'm like, this is a dead guy. What the fuck am I getting into? He looks at him perplexed.
He enters in and moves through the place as if he already knows where he's going. As Muzan is still looking at the drying up remnants of Seth, View enters into the room. Looks from Muzan to the corpse that is moldering already. Reaches out his hand, and Seth stands. And they turn around, and they leave. And speaking of leaving, it is 4 after the hour. Let's take a quick 10 minutes. Be back here at 14 after.
Oh.
Hi guys, how we doing? Sorry about the delay. Everybody back?
Mm-hmm.
What's being a back?
Huh? What's what?
What's a back?
Back?
Or how do you beat one? I
think they're attempting to be funny and it's not working.
No, I have just confused myself. That's what happened there. And yes, I would attempt to be funny, but I'm never funny.
You are quite humorous at times. However, I was dealing with something else.
Yeah.
Lost myself a pace. Sorry about that, but I am back. And we are here. Is anyone else back and pseudo alive?
I'm here.
Excellent. So while watching as the manifestation of all that Seth was, the spirit of him, leaves hand in hand with one of your greatest social enemies, who is also as dead as Seth is, permanently and finally. The betrayal unfulfilled, at least not as well planned and thought out as it was attempting to be. The pain of that dagger is still there. The truth that all of the many chickens are coming home to roost, and that tomorrow's not promised, and that you all have the opportunity to declare what your futures, what your presence will be, leaves you all with what? What is it that you all are attempting, thinking on, and perhaps even feeling in this moment.
Shouldn't we try and stop Seth from walking out headlessly?
On that note, just a quick point of clarification, was that just Seth's ghost, or did his body actually rise
Seth's-
up and walk out?
Seth's ghost, Seth's spirit.
Oh,
It still is equally as headless, but it is the spiritual manifestation.
sorry.
Muzan is still reeling from everything that just happened and the revelation that he is here. And that there are people who are alive that Muzan thought had been dead for decades. His head is swirling right now, and he's just on his knees on the ground, staring at the body.
I'm gonna start. I'm a Frost will look for the walk with the ghosts. See where they're headed. If they don't fade away.
And as Zach feels Callabularsh's touch, a thought comes to him. He says out loud, "Actually, there was a question I forgot. It is not pertaining to what just happened. This pertains a much larger period of time." Did I lose you guys?
No,
I heard you.
Okay, Zach was addressing who? So that I know whether Dia was there next. Remember, Dia had walked away with the blade.
Yeah, you guys are all within earshot of each other.
Zach was addressing Callabularshi, assuming Callabularshi does in fact still have his hand on Zach's shoulder.
No, you are currently sitting in the doorway alone.
Remember, it was just a touch. It was a laying on of hands. It was a show of support, a silent bolstering. And you watched two ghosts, two unliving dead things, not ambulatory like yourself, not needing blood like yourself, two spiritual manifestations of things long dead disappear. Walk right
And as
past
Zach realizes this, he shakes his head and kind of hits him just what happened. And that he essentially asked himself a question. He's kind of snapping out of it a little. And he looks towards each of his fellow coterie members. Oh, that was something.
I suppose I will have to dress. Based on what was accidentally said by our dear departed Seth, he should not have actually left the Pesketeers. So, we might be taking a trip back, actually. And I want to return home looking fabulous. Muzan, are you alright? You look like you've seen a ghost. Oh, multiple ghosts. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. think I need to speak with you in private.
You remember that I still have the knife on me, and you're not going to.
Don't even joke about shit right now. This is...
Who's joking? But yes, come. I will dress behind the screen, and you can tell me what it is you need to tell me. Frost, Zach, it seems we are returning to the Musketeers this evening. Agents of Chaos be damned.
Oh, good. I kind of wrecked my room anyways.
Damages I'll have to pay for.
I can pay for
No, he's my child. I will pay for it.
it. I can pay for it. Do you guys forget that I also have a lot of money?
You never forget, darling. Just the proper way of doing things. So yeah, Dia will go back to the room that they had taken, expecting Muzan to follow, basically.
And before Muzan does follow, he will turn to Dancer and just say, "Listen, you get a head start on the whole fuck. Look, just the whole Homewood thing. We might need to reconsider. Jesus, fuck, this is bad."
Yeah, it was your code red, mate. Shit happens. People shit heels. They betray each other all the time. Why is it affecting you like that?
I'll tell you later. Just look. I need you to be on the lookout for some people. All right. And if there's any sign of them being anywhere near us, you gotta let us know right away. Got that?
Yeah, sure thing.
There was a name he mentioned, the Herod and the Venators. They just look out for them. If you hear anything about them, you tell me right away. You got that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You know, I tell you guys most things.
Most.
And Tony, I might need to talk with you about something after this. And then Muzan will leave to follow Dia.
And it's here where Zach starts heading towards his vehicle, getting more confused than ever.
Why are you going to your vehicle?
Well, did Dia not say that they would be heading back to the Pisketeers?
Yes, is that going to go ahead as the forward scout? And do
Well,
so
Zach's-
bravely and boldly alone?
Well, Zach kind of stops midway down the stairs, still kind of lost as to just what all is happening. He's still trying to piece everything together in his head.
I guess Frost just follows Zach.
And while Frost and Zach make their way between the apartment above the Rosie 2, i.e. the original Rosie, Dia and Muzan settle into Dia's room to change. What is it that is taking place?
Muzan will wait until she's actually done and sitting with him, because this is something he feels he has to say, knowing that she's paying attention.
Normally, she would have taken her time, like dragging things out and hemming and hawing over outfits, but she only brought a couple, and she realizes by his body language that he is very much interested in needing to talk, so she very quickly, with a practice eye, throws together a casual but still stylish bit of clothing, and coming to sit down near him so that she can fully see his face, doing her hair up in a top knot, puts her hands to her lap, having put the blade in a bit of cloth and wrapped it and put it in her bag so that she knows where it is. And then she looks at him. Okay, now, you wish to speak to me?
I never had much time to talk about my past with you or anyone. I think it's about time that you know. I don't want to end up like Seth. I don't want to betray your trust. I don't want you to think that of me. I'm just gonna come out and say it, because now it seems like it's about to bite us all in the ass. I was sired over 100 years ago, close to, I'd say maybe 120 or 30, I fucking lost count, but I wasn't a cam or anarch or independent. I was a bot. I was brought into this night by a man named Hannibal. A vicious fucking animal of a nos that man was. He's killed more people, more kindred than I've ever known in my life. And he trained me to do the same. For almost 100 years, I was part of a pack called the Venators. The same pack that it sounds like Seth knew about. About 10 or so years ago, we got wiped out by some fucking ancient asshole in Chicago, and I thought that was the end of it. I made it out alive and went into hiding for a while and decided to leave it all behind with nothing left to go back to. And make a new life for myself here. But if what Seth just said is true, And if what I saw when I was drinking from him is true, then they weren't wiped out. At least one of them survived. And my sire, Hannibal, is here with them. And was the one who put Seth up to this.
So, what you're telling me is your sire, for all intents and purposes, was some sort of mass murdering drill sergeant, as it were. You thought dead. Turns out they are not dead, and that they wanted me dead and sent a Tremere to do their job for them.
I don't know all the details. All I saw was his face when I was drinking from Seth. I might have been able to give him more answers, but, well, there ain't much left in that noggin now that it's gone.
Yes, I know. Frost. In Frost. Don't blame him though, Frost. Knew Seth for the longest and reasonably betrayed by them. Feel highly sorry for that young man, but you'll make it work. As for your confession, I get why you would hide something like that. And most Camarilla sorts would ask or faint or attempt to kill you on sight or such nonsense. But I am a very practical person, as you have found out, Rizon. I wish you no harm. I see that you have attempted to change your life and be as unbothered as possible.
Yeah.
Oh,
Though old habits die hard. I know I've been a bit
Aggressive,
violent,
lately?
and yeah, exactly. It's I don't know if I told you what happened with Sasha in when we took out that Tremere Faustina.
no. But I have assumptions. I am not as old as you are, but fairly close. One hears things. Callabularshi creates a bond. Very much like the bond we all had after drinking from the bowl. Much more permanent and chaotic, I would assume.
It's that was actually my first time, you know. Despite being in Sabat for so long, that was actually the first time that ever happened that I did that.
See, our rights corrupting Sabat, who would have guessed? But you are no longer that. You are your own person.
I know.
And I wish
That's
you
what I
kept that.
strove to be. And I aim to. I ain't going back. I've had plenty of time away from their brainwashing, their propaganda, to realize how fucking hypocritical they all are. They all talk about being free, being the chosen of Cain, blah blah blah. It's all fucking lies. They're no better than the Cam. It just, they fucking make us and send us to their dirty work, just like the Cam elders do. They're no fucking better.
Perhaps it has something to do with why I am a target. You were lying low, hard to find, and then because I needed you and asked you to stay, you became out and open, easily findable. You can't take a pet back while they are owned by somebody else. Not that you're my pet. I see you as such, but I'm sure he does.
I'm sure he does. Thea,
Take
listen,
over.
these people we're dealing with. Yeah, I mean, you saw how, I don't mean to brag, but you saw how strong I was back when I lost control and frenzied. Took like half of you to finally pry me off that one person. I was the fucking runt of the litter. These people, Herod, Hannibal, they, by comparison, I look like a fucking novice. They are professionals at death and dealing it.
Well then, I suppose it's lucky for me that I have you on my side. As Seth was killed, so can near any other kindred. And while it will be scary and potentially very hard to do, I have faith in us. So, now that we know what they're at, and they don't know that we know what they're at, we can protect ourselves and be prepared. Smiles at him and stands, patting him on the cheek. Let's not keep the rest of them wait. Your secret is safe with me. Should you decide to tell them, then that is on your conscience. But I will not betray your trust in any way, shape, or form.
You know, Seth might have been lying when he said that you were his prince, but just now, I think I get it. You have a certain charisma, you know. Make someone like me feel lucky for being with you. Thank you.
She looks entirely perplexed and gobsmacked by that and just kind of shakes it off and walks away. It's like, what is her thing with the Nosferatu lately? She's got dancing.
It ain't like that, if that's what you think. I'm just saying, I respect you.
I didn't take it to mean any other sort of thing. I should entirely hope not. You see, anybody I fall in love with ends up ash I don't want that for you.
I don't want it for me either.
And with that, I assume they head back out of the room towards finding, I guess, Zach and Frost so that they can get moving.
There is, in the grand scheme of things, a balance to things. When something is lost, something is gained. When the door is closed, the window is open, there's always a way forward. And thus far, the coterie has always found its footing enough to crawl forward, to pull themselves through the muck, the mire, and all of the trauma that exists in and around their unlives. Having just fled the Pesketeers the night previous, having just felt as if all was lost, there is no coincidence that the sacrifice of knowing the betrayal, the sacrifice of those truths presented to them, has rebolstered the coterie's faith that they can pull themselves forward, they can crawl over a mile of broken glass to reach their goals. The question now, the question before them, is in fact, what are their goals? There is the burgeoning promise of a Bahari nation. There is the arrival of silk. There is the closing of the social borders of the roses of the area. There is the predations of Dutchball against all as he seeks to take full and complete control of Thornton Township, one small domain at a time, adding to his own, forming a legion of like-minded sycophants who are willing to bend the knee to him. And then there's you, the Pesketeers coterie, having made accomplishing the impossible not only their mission, but their calling card. With thoughts and questions as to what the night might bring, they bundle up and head back to the Pesketeers. They return home. And on that note, I'd like to thank you all for helping me explore this moment, this experience with this coterie, and watching as things change and shape and grow. And I look forward to seeing you all next episode and this episode after that. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for a wonderful session.
Dang it. Oh well.